You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 29th of January 2024.
No, she was furious. She was raging. She was like, how much does that woman make? 60k a year to go and find out what your living situation is like. Does that money not better spent somewhere else doing wellness checks on people is what she said. What I would say is, why don't you go to buildings with mold problems or like any of these places where landlords are providing subpar accommodation and make sure that that's up to snuff? What about that? You know, like enforce that shit. But instead it's like there is no amount of resources too low that we can't send them to see how you're living. You know, I am sleeping on a couch. This is the lady who came to the door to investigate my living situation. I'm sleeping on a couch.
Call her what you called her earlier. Call her what you called her earlier.
Actually, I know it's a little aside, but so we're in the apartment, hanging out with a friend. That friend left, and then about 20 minutes later, there was a fire engine outside our house, and there was a guy who was in the river, and they were trying to fish him out. Okay.
Yeah. It was Amy Hooverman.
Yeah.
From last one's laughing.
Who in the river?
Yeah.
It was me in the river after having watched last one laughing.
Oh yeah. No, do you remember what she was wearing?
Oh yeah, she was dressed up as a fish. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it or heard our tremendously long conversation about it, of which I've yet to edit and release.
4 hours. The show is what, 6 hours long?
Yeah, we're almost the same length as the entire show. Actually, it's not 6 hours long because each episode is half an hour. So the show is only 3 hours long, isn't it? Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we legitimately talked for 3 hours.
So anyhow, the point is, this friend who was walking home was walking by the hospital, and she saw this guy in A&E, okay, going, if you discharge me, I'm going to jump in the river. And they're like, well, we have to discharge you. And he's like, fine. And he walked over and he jumped into the river.
Right.
And they ran alongside the river, throwing him a life preserver, and he just kept pushing it away from him. Like, anyway, this is the fucking country we're living in, is what I'm saying. That there's no resources for that guy. But if I want to get €200 a week because I'm down on my luck, okay, these people are like, we can send somebody over to your house to verify whether you were lying, you know? And one of the things she said at one point, because I was pretty stroppy. I didn't really like having this conversation, having my business being said to this lady. So she started asking me about my job and what I was doing, and and then at one point she goes, I'll just try and keep it to the highlights, but essentially one of the things that happened was I was telling her I was in animation, but I was looking to do a career change, and then she was like, but sure, there's loads of stuff going on in the country, isn't there? You know, those fellas in Kilkenny or something. You know, yeah, Cartoon Saloon. Yeah, sure. Couldn't you get some work with them, could you? I was like, yeah, no, I've tried. I've sent in stuff to them. I lived in Kilkenny for a year. I couldn't get any work there. Okay. So I can't and then she's like, I'm just wondering what's stopping you, given that like there's so much going on. And I was like, well, you know, it's not just looking for a job. It's also when you're sleeping on a fucking couch and you don't have any money.
2 words for you. Ukraine.
I didn't say fucking, but I did say that. I said, like, you know, that stuff tends to affect how you go out there and function in the world. But anyway, at one point then she points over at my recording equipment And so she goes, what's that? And I was like, oh, that's like recording equipment. And she goes, what's that for? For my podcast. And then she goes, and is there no money in that? And I was like, no, there isn't. And then she goes, what's your podcast about? Politics. Moving on immediately. That was it, you know?
Yeah.
And so then she was like, can you get your ex-partner to write a statement about her allowing you to sleep on the couch while you find another place? Okay. And I said, I just made this face and I was about to say no. And she's like, I know it's difficult, but it'll help your application. And I was like, it's just, I'd sooner not get the money than do all the stuff that I'm doing here. I already feel humiliated enough in front of you, do you know?
Yeah.
And
you say that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And she's like, I know it's difficult. I know it's challenging, but it's like, you know, she's like, I only have your word for it that you're sleeping on this couch, do you know? And she goes like, we just want to make sure that the right people are getting it. Like, that's what we both want. And of course, because I'm sitting there and I have to be like polite, I'm going, but I'm just like, no, that's not what we both want. I couldn't give a fuck if people were getting a little something extra. They deserve it, to be honest. And then she was saying, oh, it's a bit unusual, this situation, though. I was like, I imagine it's quite common now, actually, to have like people in unusual living situations because of the housing crisis. And she's like, yeah, no, we are seeing it a bit more these days. All right, so it's not unusual.
Yeah.
And she kept trying to make these like little jokes to like, you know, like lighten the mood. And normally, once again, if we're talking about last one laughing, I would be like, yeah, I know. And I know it's not your fault. I know, I'm sorry I'm a bit stroppy. I'm sorry, a bit upset. But I was like, you're not getting anything out of me this time. But it was taking everything in with my power to keep that shit in because of just how awkward I can get in those situations.
Yeah.
But anyway, she left. And the thing is, like, it's about cohabiting, okay? So this is something else that my sister pointed out. She's like, if you're married, okay, then maybe you have like a joint bank account, or maybe, you know, you share, you benefit from like tax relief or these type of incentives from the state, okay?
Yeah.
You're single, you don't benefit from any of those. If you're dating somebody as well, you also don't benefit from any of those.
Yeah.
But then if you're cohabiting, then all of a sudden it matters what your partner makes. And then when it comes to denying you something, then it matters whether you live with your partner or not, do you know?
Yeah.
But like, if I was to go, oh, okay, well now can I get, I don't know, fucking some sort of benefit for being, you know, in this relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
They would be like, no, you can't.
You may
you're
not.
not
You
married.
have to get married. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, it was just, you know, I guess maybe this person rationalizes to themselves that if they didn't do this job, then somebody else would do it. But I'm also like, I don't think that your job should exist. Yeah, there was one other thing I was going to say about that. Well, like, one of the things that happened, so like I was cohabiting and then I'm like, okay, now I'm single and here's my new address. And then they go, interesting. Previously, a year ago, you said that you were cohabiting, but now you say that you're single and you have a new address. What happened there? It's like, why don't you fucking read between the lines, asshole? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like, no, I got to show up to your house and verify. Oh yeah, but I suppose a related note, big rat found in the river. I don't know. No, there's been a bunch of IBEC calls for pause on minimum wage increases and other labor measures that it says risks employment. Another article as well that came up recently this week was, where is this? Do you know the one about the fucking sick pay? Did you see that?
No.
Let me get this up. Anyway, they did an article in the Irish Independent, I've lost the link now, where they're saying how a bunch of skivers are taking sick pay. They're taking sick days when they're not even sick.
Oh yeah.
Would you believe? And they're required. They have to give them that time off. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's like, shut the fuck up. How many days is it? Just fuck off.
Yeah, and also, how do you know they're faking?
Yeah, you have absolutely no idea unless you're like trawling through their fucking social media, which apparently the government you're allowed to do. People, there's nothing wrong with looking at somebody's social media to make sure that they're not having a solitary second, like without being in work. Okay.
According to Citizens Information, you're entitled to 5 sick days a year.
Yeah.
And they're giving out about that.
Yeah.
Just give people
off.
5 days off. And also 5 sick days.
And this IBEC cunt as well. I mean, just these people, they're actual, like, you know, like how much more do you want exactly? Just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And then there's another article that was in the Sunday Business Post as well. Oh, that was it. Sorry, I found the article just as soon as I and I lost it again. Okay.
As soon as you open your eyes.
No. They're treating sick leave as extra holidays. Yeah, okay. Fuck off. But then the other one is, what's his face? Retweeted it. Your man, the guy in something house, Tahani House. What's that guy's name again? Oh, Tahani House.
I don't
What's
know.
his name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
You know the bald guy?
The guy with a house. Stephen Donnelly.
No, Tahani House. You know the one
Am I
that's...
right?
Brother, what am I doing here? Anyway, they've increased the wages of public sector workers, and the Sunday Business Post has gone like, oh, they're being, you know, we're getting squeezed. Our tax money, you know, taxpayers are missing out now that our fucking public services are going to get a bit more money. And I was just like, it's just. We've got such a
Wait, so what's the complaint?
The complaint is from me of the framing of these assholes that anybody getting a bit more money or getting something that they think is something for nothing, which is just like, just fuck off. Just absorb it. Just think of it as the cost of doing business. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they don't want it to be a cost of doing business. You see.
That's it. I mean, this is it.
They want it to be completely free.
Yeah.
And also make a lot of money.
And also that all of their losses are protected.
Send me the link via the Discord.
Where the fucking... Yeah, sorry. I thought you were going to say something else. And it was...
No.
I was like, fuck. What picture is he saying we were looking at? Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
What is this? What's happening? Why can't I find this?
Let me fill in the dead air.
All right. Yeah?
What do you think is?
That's fucking on the cutting room floor. Thank you for that.
Let me try again. Did you... Radker doesn't want to raise the dole anymore. Not that you'll be...
When did you say that?
Not that it'll matter to you. He said...
I was thinking about that, like what... It goes like, what if they find out... What if I was lying? Imagine if I was lying, okay, about my situation, okay? It's like, oh, you won't be able to get the dole again. Well, that's like not a problem because I'm not able to get the dole right fucking now, okay?
Yeah, but they should make it is that you can't get anything ever again.
Yeah, if they really wanted to hurt me.
You're not even allowed to buy anything.
Where is this fucking public sector?
He said that he was like, we don't want to make it so that there's no incentive to work because if dole is too close to minimum wage, people just sit on their holes in their plushy apartments in Cork City.
But it's always like they go like the dole is meant to punish and encourage this lazy workforce as opposed to maybe the dole could pressure up instead, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you have a dole that matches the minimum wage, then it means that employers would have to raise their fucking wages to get people to come and work for them.
Yeah. Yeah, like dole is always reducing because it doesn't increase with inflation. It's like minimum wages, you know. So
Yeah.
if you raise minimum wage, the dole, you know, gets fucked up somehow.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why I keep quoting this David O'Doherty album, which is not even entirely political, but the one when he does a bit on the recession where he goes, "It's amazing when your life gets fucked up by things that you couldn't give a shit about." Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, you come out in the morning and your car's not there, and then it's like, "Where's my car?" "Oh, badminton." You know?
Yeah.
And it's like this, but when you're just talking about like, oh, the welfare, and I was like, I know that things are bad, but I don't have the language to articulate it because it relies on me being knowledgeable about a subject that I couldn't give a fuck about. Okay, like,
Yeah.
and I cannot muster the energy to give a shit about the stuff that you do, and it drives me mad that these guys, just because they do know it, are able to completely fuck up my life and everybody and all of the lives that I know. Not Bradker. Bradker just says whatever. It doesn't matter, you know? But like the business guys, the pencil pushers, you know? These people who are able to, you know, make their money make money, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how during the recession, even a comedian like David O'Doherty had to be political. You know what I mean?
He said this.
It was such like an ambient political time.
Like he said this on the special. He said he was on RTE and they were asking him about how did he think they could solve the recession, and that was his joke. It's like, why the fuck are they asking me like how to solve the recession?
Yeah.
But it's funny because we're in even more political times now, I would argue, and yet. What it's like, well, what do you think about Donald Trump? He's a bit of a fucking bitch, isn't he? He's a bit of a fucking piece of shit. And it's like, at least when David O'Doherty was on, they were talking about, what do you think about the recession? How would we solve this? It's like, now it's just window dressing. It's just stuff like, whoa, well, Ron DeSantis has just dropped out of the race. And you go, okay, I don't care, you know? Or like another, like a bit of a teaser for the LOL episode, okay? But we talk about a review for LOL, where an Irish independent columnist goes, there's actually a Russian version of it as well. And then they start talking about Vladimir Putin, okay?
Yeah.
But I just
He's gay,
was reading,
by the way.
But I was just reading another review of it, and they also bring up the Russian version and talk about Vladimir Putin. It's like they're so poisoned. It's like what? Like somebody said this today as well, because like Nancy Pelosi appeared on telly yesterday over in the States, and she said that Putin was paying people to protest Israel.
Yeah,
that anybody who was and so somebody said this just goes to prove that Russiagate is a virus. Russiagate will destroy your brain. You know.
I know. I saw. She couched it a bit, which is sort of even more bizarre to me. She was like, some people are genuine, but most are paid Russian.
Now, for no reason, here's a clip of Nancy Pelosi at the Israeli-American Council National Conference 2018.
I have said to people when they ask me if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel, because that's fundamental.
But I feel like with her, the virus has taken over the host. Do you know what I mean? Like she's pure virus by this stage.
Yeah, she is the virus. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you... Like it is so crazy when you look at American politics, and like Nancy Pelosi has frozen in front of the camera and just like had a reset. You've driven that bit?
That was so fun. I love that. Good morning, Sunday morning.
The day that we lost Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning, Sunday morning. We have a response.
Yeah, she just freezes for like 5 seconds and then just says...
Yeah.
And then the other fella, who looks Even for a politician, he looks especially like a paedophile. Mitch McConnell. He froze, and then they just had to like walk him off stage.
Yeah.
You seen that one?
Oh yeah, there was one of those, and then like a few weeks later, he was kind of like, yeah, no, that was a bit of a rough one, but, and then it happened again, and I had to walk him off again.
Path to finishing the NDA this week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Like,
and then Joe Biden just seems to always just shit himself on stage. Like,
Yeah.
there've been numerous things where someone's been like, he's either shit himself or audibly farted or he's fallen asleep, and then they're like, oh, but could a senile man read a script like this? It's like, he can't read and he can't speak. Like, there's nothing else going on there. Like, if you went into a pub and someone who acted like Joe Biden was behind the counter, you'd be like, they're just going to hand me a pint of piss. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be able to do their job.
have you? There was two clips recently that were incredibly good of like Biden, just the senior moments that they're capturing, where he goes up there and like, now it's an election year, he has to go up there and say things, okay?
Yeah.
And they're just like, the words like slur together, and then they stop making sense
Like,
towards the end of them.
words.
No.
Like, he's beyond words. Like, I saw one, I can't remember if you sent it to me or I sent it to you, and I was like, I literally can't figure out any of the words.
Yes, that was it. We both were trying to. I think I sent it to you, and we were both trying to figure it out. But it was like, I'm actually currently trying to find it because somebody did like a transcript of it, so we know what the clip is.
Yeah,
and I'll drop it in for everybody else.
What's so funny about any of this is that people are like, obviously he's saying this, you know. People are acting like you're insane for thinking this, like, this old dickhead is speaking intelligibly.
And the worst part, like you know, I got to stop saying "and the worst part" because there's no worst part. It's all the worst part, okay? But his love for Israel then is just so like, we were thinking about like, basically when you're on the way out, it's like you are a child again, but you also have compulsions of an adult. So if you're like a horny old man, it's like, you know, it's almost like a child like grabbing at things. I want that, I want this. But then because you're a horny old man, you're like, titties, I'm gonna fuck you in the face. You know, like, and so it's unpleasant and it's not nice. But with Biden, it's like everything's just fallen away. And the only thing that he knows for certain is maybe his name, possibly, and also that Israel is great. And that's it. And
it's real like reptile brain. It's like there's one fucking synapse firing, and it's the one that's like, support Israel.
Yeah, at all costs, no matter how fucking stupid they make you look, no matter how like humiliating. Because I was also thinking, imagine if Trump was president now, because like people be like, oh, it'd be worse. And it might be worse.
No,
but like,
it wouldn't be worse.
Maybe it wouldn't be worse. But like, what I think, because Trump, the reason it might be worse is that Trump would be in lockstep with all of the stuff that was being done, and there wouldn't be. But imagine if
so's Biden.
Yeah, I suppose. You know what? You're right. Okay.
Like,
but yeah.
Like, Biden is just like, Trump is so. There are worse people than either. Like, the worst would be someone who is sane and clinical and is in lockstep with the Republican Party. Whereas Trump is so anarchic and chaotic that he gets in his own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Biden is so, like, senile, but also willing to, like, reach across the aisle that half stuff gets done anyway, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's more so he's got a lot of people who are just acting the president on his behalf.
Yeah.
So like,
and they're
the ones who are doing
whatever, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's also like what you're seeing is on empire on autopilot. Like the empire has become sentient almost, you know, like it's just happening regardless of whether anybody is aware of it even happening, you know?
Well, I think it's moving into like, you know, there's that meme of people saying that America's a failing empire. It's like when Rome fell or whatever. But like Rome had a stage, and I know they're different things, but you know, there's a tetrarch that ruled Rome. There was just 3 really powerful people. I can't remember their names. One was Crassus. He was really rich. Another guy was like a military leader, and then another guy was like a political figure. And they just ran the place, you know? And they literally were like, let's just sew it up between the 3 of us. And that's fine. We don't need the rest of it. So like, we are just moving into a position where it's like, people who aren't elected are just like, let's just run this thing. You know, it's not on autopilot, it's just being co-opted.
But without any shame as well, you know?
Yeah.
But I just wondered, like, why they're doing it. Like, what goal is it to them that... I saw an interesting comment today, which was Israel is no longer a proxy state. Israel is no longer a proxy state of America. It's like America is the proxy state of Israel.
Yeah, I never bought that. Because, like Israel's really, like, is mental, and it makes Biden look bad. But it's not like the most you can say is that Israel is calling the shots with its own foreign policy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Israel are making any other decisions for America.
Yeah, I suppose.
So you have things like, I think before they were just kept to heel a lot more, whereas now, like, America's still getting a lot of value out of Israel.
Are they though at this point? Because now it's like tanking their international, like the view of them internationally. It's also like embarrassing because they're just being cooked by Israel constantly.
But I don't think they care about embarrassment so much. Like it's not like the be all and end all. Like, the reason why they set up Israel was to maintain control in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And like have a base, essentially. So I think as long as that continues to operate in their favour, they'll back it. And they might just eventually cut ties, or they might whatever. But I don't think it's like, I think it's an investment, and maybe they're seeing less return on it, but it's still useful.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, it's hard to imagine though, because like basically Netanyahu doesn't have any respect for Biden. That's very obvious.
Yeah.
So he likes Trump. So it's possible he probably wouldn't treat Trump the way he treats Biden. But the thing is, if he treated Trump, Obama, George W. Bush, Clinton, Reagan, any other president from within my, well, Reagan wasn't entirely within my lifetime, George H.W. Bush.
Yeah. If
he treated them the same way, they wouldn't be like, oh, thank you, sir, may I have another? They would just be like,
yeah.
Or they'd be like, you were like a fucking hair away from me cutting off funding to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like Reagan there's like known thing about Reagan ringing up your man Begin, I think his name is. I can't remember, but he's like, that's it. You need to end this tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? And he does, because he has to, because they're reliant on the United States.
Zayed Jaloni wrote for The Intercept in 2016. President Reagan responded firmly against Israel after witnessing the carnage brought on by its bombing of Lebanon. In 1982, he called Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin and warned him, Menachem, this is a Holocaust. 20 minutes after the phone call, Begin ordered Israeli troops to temporarily halt attacks in Lebanon.
But like, it's almost like the United States has forgotten this. Well, it's not that they've forgotten this. They just hate Arabs that much. They really, and they risk like doing a crazy thing with the Houthis and all this. It's like, you are risking destabilizing an entire region for fucking what? For what? Do you know?
Yeah. Like, I don't know a lot about the whole thing in terms of, like, intra-Middle East. But,
Yeah.
like, basically, I know they want Iran to have to, like, deal with Israel. As in, like,
Yeah.
not to deal with it like that, but as in, they want Israel to be, like, a constant threat for Iran.
Yeah, for sure.
So Iran has to constantly be focused on it.
Yeah.
So, in one way, it probably suits them that Israel act up a bit. You know, they want the Middle East to be unstable.
Yeah.
Because if it's not unstable, then it can, like, grow and become its own, like, it can develop and become a competitor to America.
Yeah.
But they don't want it to be so unsettled that it, you know, creates another ISIS or something like that.
Yeah. It is
I
funny,
think
though, that
that's-
they are, like...
They're not doing a very good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. That's what I was going to say, is like they are basically creating one unifying thing, which is like, if you go to like, even look at clips of the World Cup in Qatar there over the summer. Was this summer? Was this last summer or was it the summer before? I can't remember.
Okay. First question. Wait a minute. First question. Is it coming home? It's coming home. Come on, party. Free Palestine. Okay, let's talk.
Do you say Qatar? Is that the way you say it?
It's kind of the not very correct Western way to say it. You're supposed to be like Qatar, you know, like that.
What happened to Qatar?
Qatar is the same thing, but like, I just say Qatar because I heard people saying it.
Yeah, I was literally just asking.
No, I was thinking about this, and this may be such a like mid-2000s comedian point to make, but you know where you go like, why do we call it Germany? Like they go, we're Deutschland, and then you go, yeah, Germany, got it. It's just easier for me to call you Germany.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Netherlands, Holland, yeah, cool, all right, yeah, España, you know, for Spain. I can't do your bullshit. I got too much going on, you know. But
yeah. What's the one for? I think Ireland might be the only. This is a real Instagram Reels fact. Ireland is the only country that don't refer to England as England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do we call it?
Sassenach?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like in Irish.
Yeah, every other country calls it some variation of like England.
Yeah, Inglaterra, you know, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's the only one I know, sorry to say. I think that's Spanish. But I thought you were going to say Ireland is the only one that's embraced their colonizers' version of their own name. Because obviously it's like era, isn't it? And then we go, oh yeah, we're Ireland. It's like, we don't say we're era, you know?
I don't know. I've heard so many different things. So like my granny hated the word era. Because she thought that the English made it up. In order to call... I don't think this is true, but it was her reading of it. She was like, the English made that up to call us Erie.
That's funny. I love that. I like that.
And then I've also heard that in like ancient Ireland, there were 3 names for Ireland.
Right.
Erin being like one of them. Like Saoirse and I guess Roisin or something.
Yeah.
And they sort of revolve for different reasons. So I don't know, is my real point.
That is funny though. I love when people kind of... I've taken the information and I've made up my mind on it and here's what I think. And you're just like, that makes no sense. But as long as it's harmless.
My granddad used to, he hated Good Friday.
Yeah.
Because you said that was the day that, he hated April Fools. You'll see why I got confused. He was like, that's the day that the Roman legions spat on Christ.
Nice.
They were making a fool of him.
Really? Is that?
No, that is in no way.
That sounds really not correct.
Yeah. but he just decided it.
Well, Zainab, my ex-girlfriend, refers to April Fools as April's Fool Day.
It's good effort.
Which always made me laugh. Remember those times?
Yeah.
So anyway, partway through his remarks, this is from Fox News, he appeared to mumble, "The beer brewed here, it is used to make the beer brewed here." And then went, "Ooh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes, I wonder why."
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
Did you hear that one?
No, that wasn't the one you sent me.
No, but that was genuinely what he said. In this other one.
That's what he said in the one you sent me.
No, the one he said in the one I sent you.
Sorry, this is a different one.
Was, where is that? Sorry, it's a different one.
Yeah, like, do you remember when Trump ran for the first time and the discussion was like, he can't read, and it was like,
yeah,
a psychologist who was like, what's going on here? Why can't he read? You know, and he used to be able to read, now he can't read. He used to be able to speak, now he can. What's happened? And then like, it's mad because you see, you know, they were comparing a video of like Trump now and Trump in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's two different, you know, what's going on? And then like, you see a clip of Biden now and a Biden like 30 years ago. And Biden has more hair now. Like he's grown hair somehow. His face is a different shape. His nose is a different shape. And he like can't speak. Like it's not even like he can't read. It's like he cannot say words. Like he can't formulate a sentence. So like, but there's no discussion about that. Like if you showed a picture of these two people, like Biden 30 years ago and now, you'd be like, oh, are they in any way related?
Yeah. Like, oh, they kind of look like each other a little bit.
You literally wouldn't think
well,
that.
you wouldn't. Yeah.
You would be like, why are you showing me a picture of like, like the turnip that they used to put out on Halloween?
And Sam the Eagle on the other side.
Yeah. Like, it's so... He looks like a Kardashian, like, whereas he used to look like... He used to have a huge, like...
A big falcon nose, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, here's the one that we were talking about. He goes, "Don't mess with women unless you want to go..."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're being kind there to him.
Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
So he showed up at something and there's like a bunch of... Anytime he shows up anywhere now, pretty much a bunch of people will appear to protest him on Palestine. 13 different protests apparently at one thing that he was at.
Okay, cool.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, but every time he does it, all the crowd, they're kind of the Biden supporters. Their response is 4 more years, 4 more years. They'll start chanting that, and it's just like, but then this is like off of the back of him going, "Don't mess around with my eyes. You want to?" It's like 4 more years, 4 more. It's like, do you really want 4 more years of this? Do you really, in your heart of hearts, like, do you think that these last 4 years have been good? Do you know?
But even like, say I loved the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Say I was having a great time. I'd look at him and I'd be like, that was a good run. Thanks for the 4 years. You know what I mean? I'd be like, clearly it's taken a hell of a lot out of you. Because you... but he does... It reminds me of like, you know, Grandpa Simpson?
Yeah.
It's like, he's Trump and then Biden is Jasper.
I would say the other way around, slightly.
But Jasper like dances with his trousers down. You know that guy?
Yeah.
Is that Jasper?
Yeah. No, it's the other guy. Yeah.
Old grey mare, she ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be. Ain't what she used to be.
I don't know. I can't remember who that guy is. Yeah, he's a more savvy sort of old fella. Jasper's the one with the really long beard who like mumbles.
Yeah.
Whereas,
he got locked in the freezer.
What a time to be alive.
But like when you say Grandpa Simpson, like that is like most of Biden's anecdotes sound like that, where it's like, it was a man, corn pop, and he had a promenade in the pool, and I told him, it's the style at the time,
Yeah. Well, it's more like Trump because it's going from one point to another. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't make complete sense, you are following. Whereas Biden really does have his pants around his ankles half the time.
Trump is really back, by the way. Like, he's really...
Yeah.
When I've seen so many little clips of him where I'm like, fuck, man, he's really going to win in a massive way. I think he is going to destroy Biden, personally. I'm making that prediction now.
I have no idea. Like, I've completely stopped making predictions. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to the debate between them. Like, that's going to rule. Because they're just so decayed, the two of them.
Yeah, like, we saw a debate with them already, but now, 4 years later, they are two completely different people.
Later. Yeah. Like, if you met the average 80-year-old, or how old was Biden when he got elected? 77?
Actually, I don't know. Biden, Wikipedia. How about that?
Yeah. What's DJ's favorite online encyclopedia?
Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Nice. 81 years old currently, so I don't know what that means.
We'll just take 4 away from 81. Just do that quickly for me there.
Oh, wait, I can do this. 70...
Okay. Right.
Oh my goodness, 77. He was 77, sorry.
Yeah. Like, if you were talking to a 77-year-old and then you were going away for 4 years, you wouldn't be like, I'll see you when I get back. I'd be like,
yeah.
Well, maybe I'll never see you again. You know?
Exactly.
So, it's just, that's the time difference we're talking about,
Yeah. So that actually will be kind of bring us into talking about Sinn Féin and their
last thing, you know Nikki Haley?
Yeah.
You know she's Indian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, she can't be Indian if she's running for president because...
Well, you know what I mean. Both her parents are Indian.
Yeah. I didn't actually know that.
Like, her parents moved to wherever.
Yeah, that is... Oh my God, yeah, sorry. Because Nikki Haley, that's kind of American. Her name is Nimarata Nikki Haley. Nikki's her middle name. Wow,
yeah.
That's interesting.
I can't remember what it was, what I was listening to, because Nikki Haley was like, America's not racist. And then the commentator was like, well, why doesn't she use her real name?
That's funny. Did you see that thing where it's like Nikki Haley was asked like about what was the Civil War over, and she kind of had this cagey answer where it was like, well, you don't understand. There was all this conflict between the North. She was trying to be like the South will rise again or whatever. And then they asked, Trump's like, they asked Nikki Haley what started the Civil War. She's like, oh, I think this, and I think, and I was like, I think it's slavery. I think just say slavery,
She also said, they asked her about the Civil War. Why did it start? How did it start? She didn't use the word slavery, which was interesting. I don't know that it's going to have an impact, but, I'd say slavery is sort of the obvious answer. Supposed to about 3 paragraphs of bullshit. She just talked. Nobody knew what she was saying.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know, folks. And it's like, they love him. I love when he's up there and he's going like, talking about Ron DeSanctimonious, and then he just goes like, Meatball Ron is talking about woke. What even is woke? What is it anymore? What are you talking about? And they're like hooting and hollering like, yeah, Trump. And a recent thing there, they asked him like, so what are you going to do with Ron DeSanctimonious? He's like, well, I think I'm going to retire that name. And everyone's like, yay, because he just dropped out. He's like, I don't need to call him that anymore because he's gone. You fucking loser.
He was such a freak, wasn't he? Like, with the weird shoes with the 4-inch lifts in them.
Yeah. Or when he's like, when people would go, hi, my name is John. And he'd go, okay. You know what I mean? Something like that where you're just like, you got nothing. Oh, hi, John. Nice to meet you. Yeah, all right. Is this your family? Oh, this is great. He's just going like, hi, I'm, Tom, and I own a small business. Okay. Noted.
He's not even that short.
No.
It's not like he's 5 foot nothing.
I think he looks like... I saw a picture of him and I thought I thought it genuinely was like a president from a Call of Duty game on PS3, you know? Like, he looks so glossy and had those like weird uncanny valley eyes, you know?
Yeah, like no texture.
And I was like, oh shit, that's a person. I didn't realize it was like an actual guy. I thought it was like, you've got to get in there and save them because no one else can. You know, like you can totally imagine his jaw, just, you know, in the PS3 graphics, hovering up and down. Press F to drop out of the race. Imagine.
Yeah. Press F to suck.
Yeah.
Dick.
Bye. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, you do that.
I'm going to empty my dick.
Yeah, speaking of that, that's how it works, I think. So, yeah, that was that. What else? I have some links here that I put in the chat. Do you have stuff?
Yeah, all locked away up here.
Nice.
You were saying something about Sinn Féin?
Yeah, I do have stuff on Sinn Féin. The Sinn Féin have decided that we hear you, we see you, we are going to go over and shake his hand, and we're going to say right to his face, stop this fucking war. And then Biden will go, I got hairy legs. Yeah. And he'll be like, hello, nice to meet you. And then he'll walk out of the room and be like, where's my house?
Yeah.
Who is
this? Did you see the
this?
Indonesian guy was like, stop the war? See that?
No.
It was like the Indonesian Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And he read out a letter being like, stop the war.
Yeah.
Biden was like, no. You know, he's like, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
But it had no effect whatsoever. You know? Like, he didn't even say no. He just was like,
oh,
I think he was just like, I think he said something like, yeah, talk about it later, maybe, you know, something like that. So,
it's rude not to bring anything to a housewarming. And they go, what? He's like,
And yeah, I'm only joking. So Sinn Féin go over and Mary Lou was like, stop the war, and he'll be like, who are you? And he'll be like, well, I'm the leader of the opposition in Ireland.
He's like, I'm there. She made the best rice pudding.
Yeah. But even if he was cogent, or say someone, whoever speaks for him, they'll just be like, you're not the Taoiseach, you're just
a fucking lady.
You're head of a party.
Yeah.
Over there. So thanks for stopping by. Anyway, see you later. You know?
Yeah. But the response online has been very funny from Sinn Féin supporters because they're very wounded by it.
Yeah.
So that one, the post from the guy who blocked me after I responded.
Oh wait, sorry. The other thing is that so Biden was like, so the Indonesian guy read out the letter. Very small man as well. And then
just an observation.
And then Biden goes, we can talk about it later. We were just talking about climate change. And I was like, is that a threat? I was like, honestly, I was like, is that a reference? Like, so Indonesia's been particularly hard hit by climate change.
Yeah.
So is Biden, you know, is this his lizard? Look, I know I just said he was senile. It is could be well.
No, there's like some sort of reactionary, like what I heard
could
about.
Could he just be like, he was like, but you were just asking me to help with climate change, and now you're criticizing Israel. So, which is it? Do you want Israel gone, or do you want not to be fucked by climate change? You know?
Well, it's not much of a threat, because it's like, hey, let's move on to another topic that I'm not going to do anything about, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's like climate change relief, as in they're going to give them a bunch of money. I'd like to see that. But like, it's like, you know, it just goes to show how inept it is. Hey, we're not talking about Israel. We're talking about climate change. And I was like, all right, are you going to stop polluting? No.
Also, no.
Fucking, where am I? Who are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we done now?
Yeah.
Can I go bye-bye? Get num-num?
No, he doesn't say stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on his way. Do you remember was it the one where he got like his wife's name wrong? Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
I think he called her Dr. Joe Biden because he forgot her name.
And then everyone was like, that's just an old-fashioned way of referring to your wife. The other weird one was when he was they were sat for a TV interview.
Yeah.
It was like 30 seconds long, because if he's there for any longer than that, he'll show himself up.
Yeah.
And like his wife was literally like, and he likes ice cream.
Yeah.
Don't you, Joe? And he's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was literally like that.
Vanilla.
It was like how I talk about you when we're in public. I go, this is Gareth. He likes Doctor Who.
We're watching Line of Duty, and there's like a number of scenes with like people who are have learning difficulties, who somebody's trying to pin a murder on or something, and so they have to have somebody in the room with them, just going like, now I'm going to show you some photos, okay? Is that okay? And then, you know, you don't have to answer that, Jamie. And he's like, okay, so Jamie, we're going to present you with photo 1. Do you know that? Do you know this man? For the tape, the suspect is not responding. He's like, my client has been very clear with you. And it's just like, anyway, that's Jill Biden's role in this, is just to be like,
yeah.
You know, like, I was like, what do you think of this? And it was like, I think it was bad. He shouldn't have done that. It was like, I think what Joe meant to say, what he's been clear about in the past and said numerous times, that this administration has said this. Well, actually, that's not even Joe Biden. That's just anybody who's on his staff who is acting as a translator for Joe Biden. But not really, because they're not saying what he means. But, you know.
What they should do is, you know, the movie when they want, like, say they'd be like, what's that one? Sylvester Stallone did it. It's like, stop
or my mom will shoot.
Yeah. And like, if they want like an old lady to be doing backflips and stuff, he like moves behind the wall and then like does backflips. It's like stunt double.
Yeah.
You get a stunt double to come out. And it was like, Joe Biden has hurt his head, so he's covered in bandages. He's covered his head with a bucket. And then this guy like moonwalks out to the podium and he's like,
wow, look at him go.
Yeah. He will not be saying anything or answering any questions.
No, you can say whatever, because they've got a very good AI of Biden now. You can just have him say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what it should be like? It should be like, you know, what's his name? Who's the guy in Power Rangers? Zordon. And it's just like, Joe Biden will not be able to make public appearances. So we have this translucent tube in which this giant floating Biden head appears and just tells you what he's thinking, you know?
Yeah.
And he's actually been dead for years, and they get rid of term limits. So Biden, the tube keeps getting voted in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, there's an episode where Zordon is dying.
Yeah.
And there's a bit where the tube goes up.
Yeah.
Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
And it's like an old man with a blanket.
Yeah,
and he's like, and I remember when my granddad died, I thought that I thought that's what it was going to be like. You go to this room and they'd be like, he'd be on a circular podium thing. Like that's how they were keeping him alive. Like I thought when he was in hospital, he was in the tube thingy. And then when he was dying, they were like...
Yeah. You know that
17 years old at the time.
Yeah, 21 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this was yesterday. There was in the recent movie in like 2016 or 2017, Bryan Cranston plays Zordon, and at the start of the movie there's like a battlefield and like Zordon is like dying on the battlefield, but I swear to God, I might be misremembering this, but I remember that Bryan Cranston was fully nude. Okay, now they like tastefully covered him up, you know, so it's like his bits were covered, but he's like lying dying on a battlefield or something, and you can see his entire like blue body, you know,
his dick halfway down his leg.
The other funny thing is that there's a character called, I think it's Billy Cranston he's the Red Ranger, but Cranston, he is actually named after Bryan Cranston because the writers of Power Rangers back in the 90s knew Bryan Cranston from around the place. So they're like, just name him after our mate.
Really?
We're not talking right now because we're broken up.
Really milking that joke.
It's not a joke.
Yeah,
They've made it here. It's how long are we into it? An hour and 18 minutes. Actually, it's fine. We're behind the paywall now. Oh no, I forgot. We had the break. Yeah, so we're still broken up. Okay. Until the break. And then after the break, hey, come to the patreon.com/Celtic Ligers. Find out what's what. See what's going on.
True love can't be held down. And if the social worker subscribes to Patreon, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, now
you
you're
don't
cool.
need the doll.
Now you're not a rat.
Yeah.
To all the t-shirt wearing plastic revolutionaries on here having a rant at Sinn Féin, here are a few real revolutionaries who saw the worth in talking to their enemies.
Yes.
And the pictures are included. Bill Clinton shaking hands with Yasser Arafat.
Pedophile.
Not Yasser Arafat, to my knowledge, but, you know, definitely Bill Clinton. Yeah, I know. I was just saying that Yasser Arafat famously got everything that he always wanted. Because there is, that's a really weird one to start off with, because, like, he was at the PLO, wasn't he? So
who's the best looking Palestinian politician?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know any Palestinian politicians.
Yasser Arafat.
Fuck, that's good. Let me just say that to Zainab after I decide. He goes, who's the best looking Palestinian politician? Yasser Arafat. Yeah. She loves it. Also, Arafat is spelled with a PH, and that, you know.
Oh.
No, it's not actually, but for the purposes of the joke, that's what it would be.
Oh, yes.
Because he got a fat ass.
Do you watch that video I sent you? Where the guy who's like, I like pogs. The guy.
Yeah, I did watch that.
Did you like it?
I mean, I kind of just refreshed my memory about it.
It's the guy who looks like Dracula, Black Dracula.
Yeah.
And you didn't watch it,
I did watch it. I did. I just don't remember
you
it.
Sent me.
What?
All the stuff you sent me. Can't even watch one Black Dracula thing.
Yeah. What was the last clip I sent? Well, just recount the last thing I sent you. No, just kidding. Don't. No, I do send too many things. It's not really. Nobody can watch all of those. So.
No, I also understand the purpose of sending videos that people aren't going to watch.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like to show that you like it.
Yeah.
Yourself.
And sometimes it's useful for me because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just scroll back up, see all the bullshit. I'm just scrolling past James. All the posts.
So Yasser Arafat.
Yeah. Yasser Arafat, and famously got everything he wanted. That's why that's why we're where we're at now, is because Yasser Arafat got everything that he wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's talking to his enemy, aka Bill Clinton. It was like, would his enemy be Israel and they're not like talking to him? Anyway, whatever. Next picture is Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness. Nothing is wrong in Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement is without fault. And also, famously, the DUP signed the fucking thing. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's so mad because, yeah, like you say, DUP. Like that's why there was a split with the DUP. Ian Paisley didn't want to set it up. So if anything, you could say like, what? Ian Paisley saw the point of talking to Martin McGuinness once, like, Storm was in place and once Ian Paisley thought he could gain power.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he brought it into DUP, which has been insanely bad for Northern Ireland.
Yeah. This is a Sinn Féin supporter sharing this as well. It's like,
yeah,
like I don't know. And then the next one, this one is the second funniest. They actually go in order of funniness, but it's Nixon shaking hands with Fidel Castro.
They didn't talk.
I mean, I don't know much about.
Like, they might have shook hands,
yeah,
but they didn't have any sort of dialogue.
I would have thought that Nixon would have had the most animosity towards a communist country off of America, you know?
Well, Kennedy started the blockade, didn't he? And then Nixon kept it going.
Yeah, and then Obama tried to lift it, and then Trump reinstated it, and then the Biden administration is like, no, it's fine, we'll keep it going, I guess.
Yeah. No one... It's funny, because with Nixon, you could have said he went to China.
Yeah, why didn't you have that photo?
Like,
what the fuck?
Like, that's the famous Nixon went to China, and like, China was communist, and America was capitalist or whatever. Did you ever meet those people? They're like, China's not communist, it's state capitalist. Whatever that means.
I don't know. Like, again, these are all other things where we start getting into the weeds, and I'm just like, couldn't give a fuck. I really try.
Have you ever seen
I got to do
Nixon's
research. What's her name again? I remember because I heard about her recently because
Milhouse.
Richard Nixon. There was something funny about their courting, where like he went on a date with them.
Pat.
He went on a date with her while she was going on a date with another guy or something like that. Like, he was so determined to be with her that he was like, I'll do that. And then, anyway.
It's mad how that sort of stuff used to be considered romantic. It's like, they're like, oh, that just showed how much he wanted me.
How persistent
that he like
was.
Followed me home, you know? And like banged on the windows.
Yeah.
I remember one of my aunts shared this story about like a guy who was driving home. My aunt was driving home, and my aunt was driving somewhere, and she goes, this guy in another car pulls up beside her, and he's like, do you know where are you going? And my aunt's like, I'm going to this place in Ranelagh, and he's like, do you know where you're going? And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, I'll show you just in case. And he just drove in front of her because he knew the address, like he knew where she was going. And then she, you know, they got to where they were going, and then he jumped out of the car. My aunt jumped out of the car, and she went to her cousin. She was like, there's a guy here following me. And her cousin was like, what, do you like him? She said, no. Okay, I'll tell him to get lost. It was sort of like within the realm of normality, you know?
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, what happened, just to clarify, is that he would drive her to dates with other men.
That's so messed up. That's worse than the other thing.
Yeah,
like, at least with the other one, you're going on a date.
Yeah.
That's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
Hey. I heard a story about these two men, and one of them fancied the other. And then the one who didn't like the other one, they were like, you're too fat.
Yeah.
But if you ever lose the weight, we can go out.
Yeah.
And then the fat one used to like buy condoms and stuff for the other guy.
Nice.
We wouldn't catch an STD.
Keep yourself. I mean, I can't tell you to save yourself, but
yeah, just keep
save
yourself
me
clean.
from yourself once I figured out this weight situation.
Yeah. People are so crazy. Like I never do that, and I let people walk all over me. Women.
Ladies, just let you know.
Yeah.
And my phone number is.
Yeah.
Last photo, Queen Elizabeth II shaking hands with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, the Queen is everybody's enemy, obviously.
Wait, is it Queen Elizabeth II? Am I have that right? Okay.
Who else would it be?
Well, is she the second? I just was like, am I getting this entirely wrong?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So why is Queen Elizabeth number 2? I go to that 'cause she's shit.
Yeah, right. So number 2 is shaking hands with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, I looked it up. I was like, what does that mean with that photo? So then the photo was taken in like 2003. So then I looked up the relationship of Nelson Mandela and Queen Elizabeth. And apparently it was like, well, once Nelson Mandela was president of South Africa, he formed a bond with Queen Elizabeth. You're just like, so like after apartheid. So just like after, you know, like.
And it's so mad because like, the Queen saw Irish people as animals.
Yeah.
Like as literal animals.
Yeah.
And we live like an hour away. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We like you can basically see.
Yeah.
It's like being like the people across the river, they're subhuman.
Yeah.
Like she did not like Nelson Mandela.
No.
You know what I mean?
She probably thought it was cute. His shirts are so lovely, aren't they? Nice and colourful.
He does have good shirts.
I love his shirts. Wish I had
Shame
that.
about the politics.
But also like, I'm guilty. I don't know that much about apartheid South Africa, but like, how actively involved were the British and in that, you know?
I don't think the British were involved at all.
Well, they probably would have been for a white colonial settler.
No, because I could be wrong about this, but white South Africans speak Dutch. Oh no, they were English.
Oh, they can't help themselves. You just got to take it for granted. But I'm just saying, it was like at that moment in time, isn't it like generations later? Is like how active are the British state there? And then even then, that's the British state. So it would be more meaningful if you was shaking hands with like a prime minister or something. Do you know?
Here's a real question for you now. What was the Boer War?
Oh, don't ask me this.
I
don't read, man.
It could be one of those things where the British took it off the Dutch or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the Queen had nothing to do with it. I'm 99% sure that the Brits didn't just give it up. I think it was taken by force.
And even if the Brits were involved, the Queen becoming friends with the head of state after the conflict has been resolved is not. Look at the benefit of speaking to your enemies. The Queen, who can't do anything. And she became friends with them after she could have actually meaningfully done something, which is show support for the boycott or whatever.
Here's what I know about South America, Africa. They got rid of the colonial power, and then they did a thing called Peace and Reconciliation, which was more generous than anything the colonial powers ever did to for South Africa.
Yeah.
Where they said, like, just come, we're going to engage in this national dialogue, and, you know, if you've done something, we just basically want to know about it.
Yeah, wipe the slate clean. Just tell us.
Yeah, which, I don't know, it's not, it's talking to your enemies, but it's not talking to the Queen. Just checking my Facebook here. A picture of me from 12 years ago just popped up.
Why are you checking your Facebook? What's...
I don't know.
That's the most hard. The thing is that you really don't want is that you open
Bored.
up...
Go to patreon.com/CelticLigers for the rest of the episode where the Ligers talk about Seán Ó Fearghaíl being a racist disgrace, racist small business owners on Upfront with Katie Hannon, and finally a solid gold gobshite independent, aka racist, councillor getting upset about cyberbullying. Bye bye.